Hi guys, it's Alicia. Today I am going to be showing you how I make two really easy, no-bake pumpkin cream pies. Both of these pies would make a great holiday pie, I think especially Thanksgiving. So I wanted to show you how I make these before Thanksgiving in case you were looking for any Thanksgiving pie ideas. Like I said, these are very easy, they're no-bake, they come together in just minutes, but they are really good. So let me jump into the first one. The first one I'm going to be making is a chocolate pumpkin cream pie. This one is so easy, very few ingredients to this, and it comes together very quickly, but it is really good. And it's kind of just a pumpkin twist on your classic chocolate cream pie. So what you're going to need to make this, first off, I'll show you what I'm going to be doing for my crust. I am going to be using some of these Teddy Grahams in chocolate. Now I typically make my own crusts, but I should say if you want to do or get a pre-made crust for this pie and the next one I'm going to be showing you, that would make this even easier. I do like to make my own though because they're really simple. I just think they taste better and they're cheaper. So for mine, like I said, I'm going to be using some of these Teddy Grahams. If I could have found chocolate graham crackers, I would have went with those, but I couldn't find those at my store, so I grabbed some of these, and I think these will work great. And then I'm also going to be using, 140 grams of those. I just like to weigh it out. It's just a whole lot simpler. Next, for my crust, I'm going to be using some of this Brummel Brown made with real yogurt butter spread that I use all the time. I'm going to be using 4 tablespoons of that melted. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this Truvia Sweet Complete Brown in that as well, probably 2 teaspoons. But that's kind of to taste. If you like a really sweet crust, you probably want to use a little more of that. I don't necessarily like a super sweet crust, so I tend to kind of go light on my sweetener when I'm making my crusts. For the filling itself, you're going to need some almond milk. I'm just using this unsweetened vanilla. And then you're going to need a 1/4 cup pure pumpkin puree, not the pumpkin pie filling. A box of instant pudding and pie filling, sugar-free chocolate. And this is a 1.5 ounce box. You're gonna need a little pumpkin pie spice. This is just the stuff that I make myself. I will link the recipe video where I show making this if you guys wanna see how I make it. Very simple. And I go through so much pumpkin pie spice this time of year that I like to make my own because it's cheaper that way. And then the last thing you're gonna need for your filling is some fat-free whipped topping. I just like this Kroger brand. It works pretty well. If I can find the Cool Whip brand, that is my favorite, but I have a really hard time finding it where I live. So I'm gonna be using this, and I'm gonna be using the whole container, or 8 ounces. And that is all there is to this one. Like I said, very simple, very few ingredients. Let me get my crust started. The first thing I'm gonna do is get my Teddy Grahams weighed out. And again, I'm looking for 140 grams. Look at those, switch to grams. Okay, got that. Now I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna pour them into a Ziploc bag. Close that up. And then I'm gonna take a rolling pin and I'm gonna kind of just break these up until I get them into crumbs. You could also use a food processor, a little mini blender, whatever you want to do. And if this doesn't end up working out too well with these, I will probably toss them in my NutriBullet, but I'm thinking it's looking like it's gonna work. So I'm gonna go ahead and break these up and then I'll be back. All right, I've got those broken up pretty well. So now I'm gonna take that same bowl I weighed these out in. I'm gonna add my crumbs back in. And then I'm gonna melt up 4 tablespoons of this Brummel Brown. And while that Brummel Brown is melting, I'm gonna go ahead and add in a couple teaspoons of that Truvia. I'm gonna pour in my melted Brummel Brown and then just mix the 3 of these together really well. Okay, I've got that all mixed together well, so now I'm gonna take my standard sized pie pan here, and I'm gonna pour my crust mixture in, and I'm gonna kind of just press this down into the bottom of the pan with my clean fingers. And I think the Teddy Grahams are gonna make a nice substitute to chocolate graham crackers because this crust alone is smelling really good right now. It's funny how just 3 little ingredients can come together and smell so good. Okay, I've got this pressed in pretty well to the bottom of my pan, and I typically just do it on the bottom. I don't go up the sides with my crust. A lot easier, and it works pretty well like this. So I've got that done. So now what I'm gonna do is set that in my fridge while I am working on my filling. For the filling, I'm gonna just add in my 3/4 cup almond milk and my package of pudding and pie filling. And then I'm gonna just mix that in my mixer for a couple of minutes or so, or until it starts to thicken. You could do this with a hand mixer. You could also do it by hand, but I just find that it works pretty well in here. So I do it in my mixer. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this mixed up, and then I'll be back. All right, I let that mix in there a couple of minutes or so. And I don't know if you can tell, but it is gonna be really thick, and that's normal, which again is part of the reason why I like to use the mixer. It's a lot easier to do this in mixer than by hand. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in my pumpkin puree and my 2 teaspoons pumpkin pie spice. And I'm gonna mix that in well. Now that I've got that mixed in, I'm gonna take my whipped topping, I'm gonna add that in, and I'm gonna gently, or on a low speed, mix that in. Okay, that is looking pretty good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get my crust back out, and we're gonna pour this in. So I'm gonna just pour this on top of my crust. Spread that in there evenly. Then I'm gonna cover this with a piece of plastic wrap, and I'm gonna put this in my fridge for a good couple hours and let this set up completely. But I will be back once that is done. I let this chill in the fridge probably a good 3 hours, I would say. So now I'm gonna take it out. And I completely forgot to show when I was going over the ingredients that you're gonna need some of this whipped topping for the top of this as well. So I'm gonna be using half of this container, or 4 ounces. So you're gonna need 12 ounces of whipped topping total. So I'm just gonna take half of this, like I said, put it on the top, and just kind of spread it out. And you don't have to put this on if you don't want. I just think it adds a little extra to this. Now that I've got that on there, I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of pumpkin pie spice on the top of this. Like that. And then I'm gonna put one of these little candy corn pumpkins on there. I love these things. Let me know if you guys love these. I buy these every year this time. Usually I get the candy corn too, but these are probably my favorite, the pumpkins, but definitely not Weight Watcher friendly, but I love them. But that is all there is to that. I'll go ahead and cut into it and show you what it looks like inside and let you know what the points are. All right, I've cut a serving size out, which is 1/8 of the total pie. See if I can show you what it looks like inside a little better. My lighting is not the best right now. Super creamy. Just got a really nice consistency. And I just love this one because, again, it's so easy. Not a lot of ingredients. It comes together really quick. And it doesn't really need to sit all that long either. Like I said, an hour or 2 really at the most to set up. And this one's ready to go. And I just love the pumpkin spice paired with that chocolate. I think it's a great combination. And a little different twist on just your kind of classic or typical chocolate cream pie. This one's just got a little extra to it. That little different twist on it makes it nice for this time of year, fall time. And like I said, Thanksgiving, I think this would be a good one for Thanksgiving. But yeah, just really like this one a lot. I'll try to show you here with a fork the consistency of this a little better. Like I said, it's really creamy. Yeah, there we go. You can see in there. Just really creamy, light, delicious. And I'm gonna take a bite really quick because I want to try it with that crust and see how that pairs. Because again, I've never used those Teddy Grahams as crust before. I usually use the just chocolate graham crackers or a regular graham cracker. That's really good. Those actually work out really well for that crust, so I would definitely recommend those. I don't think you need actual graham crackers. Those have a nice flavor, so that definitely goes well. And again, love this one. Super easy pumpkin chocolate cream pie. I'm gonna go eat this, and then we'll move on to the next one. Next up is pumpkin cream cheese pie. Now this is kind of a combo of pumpkin pie, cheesecake, and kind of a mousse all mixed together. It's a really light, airy cream cheese pumpkin pie that I just absolutely love. I love my cream cheese, whether it be in cheesecakes or whatever. So this one is definitely one of my favorites because of that. And just like the other one, very, very simple, not a whole lot of ingredients. So let me show you what those ingredients are. For the crust, again, I am gonna be making my own, and this time I'm gonna be using some ginger snap cookies. I'm gonna be using 140 grams. I just weighed these out. And again, I'm gonna be using the Brummel Brown 4 tablespoons. And for sweetener, I'm gonna be using a couple teaspoons of the Lightened Classic. So that is what I'm gonna be doing for my crust. Again, if you want to do a pre-made crust, you absolutely can. I would recommend, if you don't wanna do ginger snap, I would recommend, as far as the pre-mades go, graham cracker, something like that. Actually, a chocolate graham cracker would be good in this too. So you could just do this with the crust that I just showed in the other one if you want. But I really like the ginger flavor of the ginger snaps with the pumpkin. I think it pairs really well. So that's what I'm gonna be using this time. So for the filling, you're gonna need, of course, some pumpkin. And again, just the 100% pure pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie filling. And you're gonna be needing a half cup of this. For the sweetener, I'm gonna be using Truvia Sweet Complete. I'm gonna be using a 1/4 cup of this. And then for the cheesecake part, I'm gonna be using 4 ounces of a 1/3 less fat cream cheese. I'm also gonna be using some Kroger whipped topping, fat-free. I'm gonna be putting 8 ounces or 1 container in the pie filling, and then I'm gonna be using another half container or 4 ounces for the top. You're gonna be needing some pumpkin pie spice, 1.5 teaspoons for the pie, and then a little bit to sprinkle on top. And then finally, some vanilla extract. And that is all there is to this one. So let me get my crust going. First thing I'm gonna do is get my Brummel Brown melting in the microwave. So again, that is 4 tablespoons. I'm gonna just get that out and microwave it for about 20 seconds. And then for my crust, I'm gonna take my ginger snaps and again, pour them in a Ziploc bag. I'm gonna just do the same thing with these that I did with my other cookies. I'm just gonna break them up. And again, you can do this in a food processor if you want, blender, whatever. Using the rolling pin to do it, it works really well, and then I don't have to clean my food processor, which is kind of a pain for me. So that's why I do it this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and break these up into crumbs, and then I will be back. I've got those pretty much broken up. They did give me a little more hassle than the last ones because they're a little tougher cookie, but I got them broken up pretty well. So now I'm gonna take them, and in my Brummel Brown that I've melted, I'm gonna just pour them into that. And then I'm gonna add my 2 teaspoons of Lightened, and I'm gonna stir all of that together really well. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm gonna take pie pan and just pour that in. And then with clean hands again, just spread this into the bottom. And this is a little stickier than the last one. All right, I finally got that in there, and that was really sticky. So I would recommend actually not melting your butter. Just make sure it's soft, room temperature, and you'll avoid that super stickiness. I haven't made this crust in a while. I usually just do the graham cracker. So I kind of forgotten that that one's pretty sticky, but I got it on the bottom for the most part. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this in my fridge and let that set up while I'm working on my filling. So for the filling, I am gonna add my softened cream cheese to my mixer here. And then I'm gonna just mix that in there until that is nice and smooth. That cream cheese I let mix in there for a couple minutes. So now I'm gonna add in my 1/2 cup Truvia Brown, 1/2 cup pumpkin, 1.5 teaspoons pumpkin pie spice, and a teaspoon vanilla extract. Then I'm gonna just mix all that together really well until it's fully incorporated. So another couple minutes or so. I mix this on medium speed about 3 minutes or so, and it's looking pretty good. It's all pretty well mixed together. So now I'm gonna take my bowl off and fold in my whipped topping. So I'm gonna just add in full container whipped topping here. And then I'm gonna just fold that in. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm gonna get out my pie crust. And now I'm gonna just pour this on top of my crust. Smooth that out in there. And now I'm gonna cover this with some plastic wrap. And this one I'm gonna refrigerate for 4 to 6 hours, maybe even overnight. It takes a little longer to set up than the other one, but I will be back once it is ready to do the next step on. I've let this sit for just about 4 hours, and so I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up, but I would suggest with this one, since it does have cream cheese in it, anytime I do anything that's cheesecake-like, I like to let it sit overnight. I just think it tastes better when you do it, when you let it sit for a while like that. But since I'm filming this, I'm gonna just show it to you now, and it is set up. I just think it tastes better when you let it sit overnight. So I wanted to say that, but now that I've got that set up, I'm gonna go ahead and put half of this whipped topping container on top of it. And I'm gonna just evenly spread that on the top. Next up, I'm gonna sprinkle a little pumpkin spice on the top. And again, add one of these little pumpkins for garnish. And that is all there is to this one. I'll go ahead and cut into it and let you see what it looks like inside and show you what a serving size is. All right, so I cut a piece out, which is 1/8 of the total. And I'll show you the inside here. I love this one. It's so light and creamy. And just, I love the cheesecake and pumpkin flavors paired with that ginger snap crust. I just think that all those flavors go together really, really well. And again, this one's just easy too. It does, like I said, probably need to sit a little bit longer once you make it than the chocolate one does. But that's just kind of for optimal flavor, I think. Because you could definitely eat this now. Like I said, it is set up and ready to go. I just think it tastes better once it's sat in the fridge for a little bit longer than the 4 hours at least. But yeah, I definitely love this one. I love anything cheesecake. Cheesecake is like my ultimate favorite dessert. So anytime I can incorporate cheesecake into a dessert like this, really, really love it. And this one, just like the other one, I think is perfect for Thanksgiving. But that is gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed my 2 quick and easy, no bake pumpkin cream pies. If you try any of these, please let me know what you think of them. I love hearing back from you guys when you have tried some of my recipes. But as always, down in the description box, I will have ingredients, instructions, recipe builder links, and now calorie and macro info. So definitely check down there for all of that good stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I will see you on the next one.